Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to League Racing TV here for round number 1 of Season 8 here in Console 1. We're at the top end here in the Esports Masters League. My name is, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action as your lead and sole commentator for this evening. Guys, round number 1, we're here, brand new season, Season 8. And what a race to go to get us underway. We're heading to the deserts of Bahrain. We're in Shakir. It is the Bahrain Grand Prix. 15 corners, 5.4 kilometers, 3.3 miles in length. 3 DRS zones, 1 down the start finish straight in towards turn number 1, 1 up the hill towards turn number 4, and 1 on the run down in towards turn number 11. Of course, this track known for providing some very, very tasty battles, not only in real life, but also in the world of sim racing as well. We've seen countless brilliant battles. We've seen some incredible matchups that have happened over the years, and of course we're going to be looking to see what the drivers are going to be getting into here tonight. So without further ado, let's have a look at the drivers that are going to be racing here for round number 1 in the Esports Masters League. And of course, let's remove that. There we go. So for FGE, we have Brent and Pablo Torabala. For LR, we have Turbo Toms and Samtex. For CPI, we have Urpek and Kigakowski. GT10 come through with Quartz and Acid. EVE coming through with Lucas and Rafi. OVR represented here tonight by Nock and Thomas. VMV with Impact and Imwa. And then, of course, we have FRT with ICXBYY. I'm not going to try to pronounce it just in case I absolutely butcher it, mate. I'm going to avoid that. And, of course, Agonize. Neverlast Racing, NLR coming through with Kiki and Gravroach. And, of course, IRT coming through with Phil and Zwade. And, ladies and gentlemen, is a very good lineup. Looking at this initially, my eyes are drawn immediately to CPI. Of course, CPI, a team that has been on a bit of a resurgence over this kind of game cycle. And, you know, they've been stepping back to the standards of which we have seen them many times in the past at the top end, battling out for race wins and podiums. And will they be at the top end of the championship at the end of the season? Time will tell. Of course, the drivers are beginning to load into qualifying, so we'll be transferring over to the track in just a moment's time. But I figured I would show you guys, of course, the drivers, the point system for the drivers for this upcoming season. So, of course, there it is. First place gets you 22 points. Second place, 18. Third place will get you 15 points. And then, of course, fourth place gets you 12 points. 11, 10 in increments of 1, going all the way down to 15th place, which gets you 1 solitary point. But of course, in qualifying, you do have the ability of gaining the first point of the season with the pole position point. And then, of course, there is a point for fastest lap in the race itself. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and let us get out there on track, because the drivers are coming out of the pit lane right now, and let's see who's going to be topping the times here in qualifying, as we got the first group of drivers out there on track. And hopefully everything is good. I did do a little bit of testing just beforehand, and the audio is all synced up on my end with the Elgato, but you guys are going to have to let me know if it has knocked out of sync. It should all be okay, but if it's not, please do let me know in the chat. Of course, the first driver out there, I believe it is K. Gatkowski for, of course, CPI. So we're going to go on board with Gatkowski, and we're going to see what he is going to be able to do on his flying lap. Of course, it is going to be interesting. CPI, a team that has been on the ascendancy, as I mentioned earlier on, but are they going to be able to take the first pole position of the season? Are they going to be able to take a first victory of the season? Time will tell. But Gatkowski now beginning to set up his flying lap here for the first time lap here in qualifying of season 8. DRS wide open, and we cross the line now, heading down in towards turn number 1, approaching almost 200 miles an hour, looking for that braking point just before the 100-meter board, braking down to third gear, making sure he does not light up the rears and avoiding taking too much curb on the inside through 2, but through 3, DRS wide open all the way down in towards the braking of turn number 4. Again at the 100-meter board, 4th gear, the gear of choice there for Gatkowski, using all the track on the exit as well as we come into the S's. Of course, the heart of the middle sectors where your time is won and lost. Into the hairpin of turn number 8, 3rd gear, again the gear of choice for Gatkowski, and it's looking like a good lap so far through turn number 9, and of course the sharp left-hander at turn number 10. Very easy to get that wrong, very easy to get too greedy on the throttle on the exit as well, with DRS wide open as we head down in towards turn number 11, climbing up the hill through 11 and now in towards turn number 12, using that inside curve and a middle sector split of a 104.9 through 13 goes Gatkowski. Now puts his foot to the floor, uses a bit of that deployment there of his ERS, running down in towards the braking, the final braking zone of the circuit. Through 14 and 15 to the line will come Gay Gatkowski as he is going to cross the line. It's going to be a 26.3 for K Gatkowski. What a lap time there from the CPI man, and already 3 times ahead of Quartz as we're getting more times coming through now as Brent across the line, 26.7. As we got anyone that will be getting closer, we got Gravroach for Neverlast Racing, of course another serious team entering this season. Neverlast Racing of course finished 3rd last season in season 7, of course being done by Team Shazoo and of course ET8, but neither of them are here this season, so it's an opportunity for Neverlast Racing and of course an opportunity for all of the teams on this grid. Gravroach here pops into P3 as we got Zwade now coming through. He's currently 19th, no time on the board, but he's going to set a lap time. It's a 27.4 initial lap time there as we got Turbo Toms and Urpek in the pits. We got Samtex out there right now as he is going to come to the line, and it's P10 for Samtex up in the P10 with a 26.9. Good lap there from him. Only 3 drivers yet to set a lap time. EVE Rafi in that Aston Martin coming through turns number 11, climbing up the hill now to turn 12, middle sector split. It's about half a second off Gatkowski's lap time as it currently stands. And ladies and gentlemen, can Rafi get himself into that top 10 with his opening lap, as he got enough to match his teammate right there with a 26.8 across the line, and he is gonna pretty much match his teammate, only around about a tenth off his teammate, and then it is a top 10 right now for Rafi. But outlap now beginning to come in for Turbo Toms, as of course Turbo is going to be out of sync with the rest of the field. We're going to see if Turbo can get himself up there, battling the likes of Gatkowski, Gravroach, Quartz, OVR Thomas, and which team is going to be taking the title this year. Of course, guys, let me know in the chat right now, who do you think is going to be the team to watch this year? I want to know your predictions for who is going to be the team taking the championship at the end of the season, but also give me your dark horses, a team to look out for. Give me a team to keep an eye on as they develop throughout the season. As Turbo's about to get his lap underway, we got Urpek also out there on an outlap as well, as Rafi is going to be making his way back into the pit lane. Quartz out there also on an outlap, currently P4 is Quartz. Gatkowski just coming out of the pit lane right now. Needs to make sure he is out of the way, as here comes Turbo Toms through turns 1, 2 and 3. DRS wide open. Jav in the chat saying CPI will win it. Of course, CPI, I mean, I did mention that with CPI they have been on a resurgence over recent seasons, getting back to the heights of which they were, especially when I was racing. I mean, CPI were incredibly quick now when I was racing, and you know, they are getting back to those levels at the pinnacle, and we'll see if they're going to be able to hold it all together. I think Turbo, though, a few small mistakes here and there on the lap, lighting up the rear tyres, a bit of wheel spin here and there, so it's looking, as long as he gets a lap time on the board, Turbo will be able to improve on this. But It's not looking like it's going to be up there yet. He's a full second off Gatkowski's middle sector, which just goes to show too many small mistakes there for Turbos. But he is going to come through the final corner, and big snap of the rear as he gets onto the exit curb through 14 and 15, but he's going to come to the line. It's not going to be 19 for Turbo, so he is ahead of Zwade and Impact, but here comes Urpek now. Urpek for CPI, yet to get a lap time on the board. Gatkowski's out there on a flying lap, so we'll transfer over to the other CPI driver in just a moment's time, as we're going to see if he's able to improve. But Urpek there just getting a little bit too much onto the outside curbing, and that is a lap invalidated right there for Urpek, as we jump on board now with Gatkowski, who's improved in sector 1. Purple first sector there for Gatkowski, as he is coming up to the turn 9 and turn 10 left-handers. Third gear there for Gatkowski, and I'm not gonna lie, the line that he took through there through turn 10 looks a little bit quicker than what we saw on his first run, so I'm expecting some improvements here in the middle sector from Gatkowski as he climbs up the hill. A little bit of a slide, a little bit of a snap through turn 11 as we come through turn number 12 now. Whereas Gatkowski's middle sector, he's over a 10th up in the middle sector. This is what we like to see. Big improvements now coming from Gatkowski, the CPI man. Is it going to be a 26.1? Is he going to be able to get into the 26.0s? Could we even see a 25.9 here tonight? That'll be the question, as Gatkowski now to the line. It's a 26.1 for Gatkowski as he pops a improved lap time there, and good job he is, because I see XB is improving in the middle sector. 800ths of a second improvement for him thus far, as he comes up to the penultimate corner, of course the final braking zone of the circuit, and nothing to do but put your foot to the floor. This is, I think he might have just lost the time he had in that final sector. Bails into the pits, as does Grav Roach there. Acid, what is Acid doing for GT10? Of course, in the chat right now, Nordic Ninja saying it's a CPI sandwich. It absolutely is a CPI sandwich with a Esports Masters League grid fill-in, let's just say. I believe we just had an improved lap time there from Lucas here, and that is a brilliant lap time from him. Gets him up into P3 as Impact into the pits. We got Nork on the cooldown lap, as Wade is 4/10 up on his lap time. This will be good enough to get him up there. Oh, actually no, he's just come to the end of his lap, hasn't he? That's that. Yeah, he's backed off. I thought he was just starting a lap. That is my bad there, but Samtex is just starting a lap, so we'll go on board with Samtex as he comes down in towards turn number 4, breaking down 4th gear, the gear choice for Samtex 44. And let's see what the first sector split is saying for the man in the Mercedes. He's a 10th up in the first sector, coming through the S's of 6 and 7 now in towards the hairpin at turn number 8. Good traction on the exit for Samtex, and now through turns 9 and 10, breaking down 3rd gear. A little bit of a slide in the braking there, if you guys caught it. I know you did, as DRS is wide open as we head towards turn number 11. The braking for turn number 11, climbing up the hill. 5th gear for Samtex as we head in towards turn number 12, as he's keeping it very tight through there. And look at that, nearly a 3/10 improvement from Samtex, as he is looking like he's going to be approaching the likes of Quatz's time here, maybe even Gravroach if we can find a bit more time in the final sector. But let's see what Sam can do. DRS wide open to the line, and he pops into P5 there. 3.5 improvement from Samtex. Well, Quads is out there on the lap now, looking to respond. By the way, guys, just a quick question, of course, to everyone in the chat right now. I just want to make sure audio is good, right? It's not out of sync, because I know that's been an issue with Elgato in the past. Switching between scenes sometimes knocks my audio out of sync, so like, let me know, is your audio good? Quads here over a 10th up in the middle sector as we come through the final sector to see if he is going to be able to get himself onto the front row of the grid. Quads now to the line, and it's going to be a 26.4, and it's a 26.420 actually, 420 there for Quads, as IC is of course improving on his lap time, marginally up in the first sector. What's the middle sector going to say? Oh, he's marginally down in the middle sector. He did lose some time in the final sector on his previous run though, so let's see if he's going to be able to find the time of which he lost on his last run as we approach the final braking zone. IC to the line, oh, gets a little bit onto the outside curve, and yet he's bailed out. He's into the pit lane. He will look to go again. Urbeck did get a lap time on the board in the end, and he's up in the P5 as it currently stands. Gravroach coming through the final corner, and he's using all of the battery possible as he comes to the line, and he goes onto the front row there with a 26.154, really putting in a challenge for Gatkowski here, and putting that pole position under a bit of pressure. Neverlast Racing and CPI, they've battled each other on many of occasions in the past, and I think that's going to be a very tasty rivalry as the season goes on. Of course, GT10 up there as well. Have we got anyone on a flying lap right now? I believe Agonize is on a cooldown lap. Turbo is on a cooldown lap. We got Rafi on an out lap. Imwa on an invalid run, unfortunately for him. As we got Impact there for VMV, as he's just come through the middle sector split, marginally up. As I've just been told to call him Corby or Jacob. Okay, no worries. I'll call him. I'll call him Corby or Cobby. This is where like, yo, the Welshness comes out of me. Like, yo, I read things and then I say it in the way that I would with everyone in Wales for the most part. But I'll call him Cobby or Jacob. Okay, so getting ready now for the final laps to come in, as we got 2 minutes remaining here in qualifying. Is going to be OVR knock to get us underway for the final runs, as we're going to actually go full screen now for him here, as I do believe that's a very interesting line that he was taking there into turn number 1 down the start finish straight, keeping very close to the pit lane wall, and normally you don't really see that too often. Like, usually you see everyone sticking to the racing line. So interesting there from Knock, but coming through turn number 4 first sector split, it's going to be 7 hundredths of a second up on his previous lap time as we come into the hairpin of turn number 8. OVR Knock currently 19th on the grid. Is he going to be able to climb himself up the order? Can he break into the top 10? Needs to find a lot of time to get there if he is to do so, but through turns 10 he goes. DRS wide open on the run down in towards the breaking of turn number 11. Breaks down, throws the car in 5th gear. Job done there for Knock. Let's see what the middle sector split is going to say as we head up through turns number 12. And it's over 2.5 tenths up. Oh, he takes too much of the inside curb. OVR Knock, and that is his qualifying session over and pretty much done with right now, as we're going to look to see who is on a flying lap in behind us. I believe Gakowski is on a flying lap. He's 5 thousandths of a second up through Sector 1. And let's see if he's going to be improving through Sector 2. Sector 2 split. Oh, he's down by a 10.5, so that opens the door up to the other drivers. Of course, Grav Roach not going to be able to set a lap time. He was out of sync at the end, and fortunately he's going to have to settle for P2 at best. But the checker flag has fallen here in qualifying, and we will see who's going to be on pole position, taking the first point of the season, as Corby there goes up into P3, and improved lap time there, 26.13 drivers within 700ths of a second of each other. What about Urpek? What can Urpek do? Urpek 2 times up in the middle sector. What can the CPI driver do here as he's on the rundown towards the final braking zone? Checker flag is out in the session. These guys are giving it all or absolutely nothing out there on track. And Urpek now to the line. DRS wide open. And it's P4 for Urpek. We've got Samtex over 10th up. That might be enough to get him ahead of Quads if he can keep this up through the final corner. Samtex up to P5. He does get ahead of both of the GT10 drivers. As Brent 2 temps up, he goes up in the P8 and knocks Kiki out of the top 10. As we saw an improvement come in there from, I believe it was Turbo, I believe improved as Agonize there crossing the line, the final driver. What happened to Grav Roach? Nothing bad happened with Grav Roach. He was just out of sync with the rest of the grid when it came to the final runs. But let's go ahead and run you through the order. It is CPI taking the first point of the season. The pole position point goes the way of CPI as Gakowski there tops the times ahead of Grav Roach in second place. And of course Corby there in third. Urpek there in fourth, for Samtex in fifth. Quads in sixth, with Acid in seventh. Brent in eighth. Lucas in ninth. And then Agonize there with our last lap, getting himself into the top 10. Outside the top 10 we have Thomas, Tom, Kiki, Pablo, Phil, Rafi, Zwade, Imwa, Knock and Impact going to be starting from the back of the grid. Now of course guys, the lobby will be reset and we will be getting going underway in just a moment's time. But what a lap time right there from Gakowski. And how close was that? 700ths of a second. 700ths of a second between the top three drivers. It is going to be a very, very interesting race. That is for sure. And guys, I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on who you think is going to be taking the race win. I am going to let you guys put your predictions in, and then we'll come back after this short intermission and we will read them out to see who you guys are backing for the race win here in round number 1 at Bahrain. We will be back in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from that small intermission. Of course, we are back in the lobby getting the grid sorted before we head into round number 1 of the championship. And of course, while we're doing that, a massive shout out to our sponsors at Ronan Printworks 3D, of course, sponsoring this season here in the Esports Masters League. So, a massive shout out to Ronan Printworks 3D right there. Of course, looking at the driver lineup again. Of course, a quick reminder of which teams are in which cars out there. Of course, FGE with Brent and Pablo are in the Red Bull racing cars, and of course we have LR with Turbos, Toms and Semtex in the Mercedes, CPI in the McLaren with of course Urpek and K Gakowski, GT10 in the Scuderia Ferraris with Quartz and Acid, EVE in the Aston Martins with Lucas and Rafi, OVR are in the Alpines with Nock and Thomas. Then of course VMV are in the Williams with Impact and Imwa. Then of course FRT are in the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls with Kobe and Agonize. Neverlast Racing are in the Saubers with Keki and of course Gravroach. And of course IRT are in the Haas F1 car with Phil and Zoade. And of course, looking ahead again at the track of which we are racing at here tonight, it is Bahrain, it is Shakir, it is 15 corners, it is 3 DRS zones, it is over 3 miles around the circuit, it is over 5.5 kilometers around this circuit, and it is going to be 29 laps awaiting these drivers. And it's going to be very interesting to see who is going to come out on top here. Of course, Gay Gatkowski was the man who took pole position. So the first point of the season goes the way of Gatkowski, as you will be able to see in just a moment. Boom, there we go. Of course, a reminder of the point system here in the Esports Masters League is a point for pole position, a point for fastest lap. 22 points for first, 18 points for second, 15 points for third, 12 points for fourth, and then it goes down in increments of 1 all the way to 15th place, where you get 1 singular point. And of course, this being the first of the longest calendar ever in Esports Masters League, it is of course Bahrain here tonight. 12 races over the course of the season, and we'll be seeing who's going to be coming out on top by the time we head to the middle of April at the Yas Marina circuit. It is going to be Abu Dhabi, the final race of the season, but that is a long way away as we are here at Bahrain round number 1. And first blood goes to CPI, K Gakowski, first point on the board for him and CPI as a team. But Neverlast Racing's Gravroach right there alongside him on the front row with Corby there in third, just ahead of Urpek in fourth. And we're going to be seeing, we're going to see if Gakowski is going to be able to hold on to his first place on the rundown in towards turn number 1. And we are going to see which teams are going to be better attuned to qualifying and which one's going to be better attuned for race pace. Of course, it's one thing to set a good lap in qualifying, it's another one to have the pace throughout the entire Grand Prix, and we're going to see which drivers are going to come out on top with that one. Of course, we are just waiting for the drivers to make sure they have loaded their setups, and then we'll be heading down to the grid for those 5 red lights. Guys, my name is Michael Edwards. Make sure you guys are hitting that like. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe for all things Esports Masters League. Of course, Console 2 was going on earlier on. Of course, I haven't been able to keep an eye out who won there, but we will be seeing who is going to be top in Console 2, as we're going to see who's going to top Console 1 in about an hour's time. Don't forget, guys, to put your predictions in the chat as well. Who is going to be winning this race? Who is going to be on the podium? And who is the team that's going to take victory at the end of the season? And who is the dark horses of this season? Let me know in the chat right now, guys, as we are still awaiting the drivers to have the all ready to go ahead and just getting them onto the grid. There we go. I lost my train of thought there for 2 seconds, guys. Forgive me. As here we go now to those 5 red lights to get underway here for Season 8. The lights are out and we are underway, and it's a good start there for Gatkowski as we head down in towards turn number 1. As Gatkowski able to hold it, Graf Roach and Corby there side by side through turn number 1 as we're on board with Airpeck. And it looks like Graf Roach able to hold on to that position. In the background though, we're seeing a lot of battling going on in the lower end of the midfield pack, as they're 2 by 2 like Noah's Ark coming through turn number 4. As we got Keki and Thomas there side by side. And look at that Airpeck down the inside of Corby into the exit, and it looks like he's got the job done as Quads is going to have a look down the inside in towards turn number 8, and he's got it done. Acid on the exit. Is he going to have the attraction to get alongside enough to make this move stick? And he's going to try and outbrake and try to hold it around the outside. Unable to do so. Contact there. Acid and Corby just there touching wheels, and it's not looking good as Samtex there down the inside of Corby, and Corby able to hold it around the outside and hold on to that P5, but that could have been race over for not only Corby but also Acid as well. As look at this, Samtex down the inside of Corby as they are wheel to wheel on board with Acid now, getting a nice view of this battle as Samtex able to get ahead just going into the break-in for turn number 14 as we're about to begin lap number 2 of 29. Gatkowski has a 3/10 advantage over Graf Roach, and Urbeck there about 9/10 off the back of the top 2 as we're seeing a split begin to happen. 3 wide in towards turn number 1 as Acid, Corby and Samtex 3 wide into turn number 1 as it looks like Acid there and the Corby touching again on the exit of turn number 3 as they run up there. Oh, that's squeezed off track there. Acid and Corby picks up a 3-second time penalty as you're seeing Lucas on the inside. Oh, did Lucas just get tapped from the back by Thomas there? I mean, we just saw then Lucas just go spearing off. I'm not sure if there was contact. It definitely could have been contact there. I'm not entirely sure, but heartbreak there for EVE as Lucas falls down the order. Agonized down there in P12, battling with Knock as Knock is on a set of the soft compound tyres, and it looks like Knock going to try to use those softs to get the move done on Pablo down the inside. Job done there for Knock, trying to get those soft tyres working for him in the early stage of this race. But yeah, elbows out very early on between the likes of Acid and Corby, and of course we saw what happened there with Lucas. Well, just about saw what happened, I should say, as we're about to get on to lap number 3 here as Graf Roach going to pull out of the slipstream, and he's going to take the race lead with a DRS down in towards turn number 1. But you should be seeing this switch back and forth with the DRS as Gatkowski should have a good enough run out of turns 2 and 3 to just get that position back, and there we go. Gatkowski back into the race lead as we got our first DNF of the session, a second DNF as well, as oh my god, that is Rafi in the wall. Samtex also at this race. Didn't see what happened to Samtex, but Rafi in the wall there. Similar spot where obviously a few years ago Roman Grosjean had that horrific crash a few years ago in real life, and yeah, Rafi's car right there in the wall, and we're getting word on what happened with Samtex. Apparently connection issues for some reason, and he didn't even retire on himself, so a very strange dealing going on there with Samtex, as he is out of this race, but there's a safety car here, lap 3 of 29. Gatkowski leads the way, Graroach in second, Urpek in third, Quats in fourth, Cobby in fifth, and of course Acid in sixth, Thomas there in seventh, Brent in eighth, Keke in ninth, and Knock on those soft tyres in the top 10. And of course we got Pablo in 11th, Zwade in 12th. And in fact, let's have a look at the biggest gainers here so far this race, as I can't imagine we've seen many people into the pits, but it is Knock up 9 positions at the start of this race, as we're seeing a few pit stops begin to happen, as both of the VMV cars into the pit lane, along with Knock, along with Agonized, and of course along with Zoid and Turbo Toms as well. Interesting split there. Of course, you would expect Knock to go into the set of the hards after getting his soft tyres out of the way. He'll try to take those as far as possible. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take them all the way to the end. They still have enough pace in them to hold position towards the end, but if he can, he'll be good going there from Knock. They should be able to get to the end, the hard compound tyres, but they're definitely not going to be having the pace in the latter stages, and we're going to see if Knock is going to be able to hold on in the latter stages of this race. Same with Zawade as well. Of course, Agonize and Imwa looking to use those soft tyres early, try to get some moves done nice and quick, and then maybe put on a set of the mediums to go to the end of the race when the hard runners come into the pit lane. And for Impact and Tom's looking to maybe do the opposite of what Agonize and Imwa are going to be doing. But of course, safety car here, lap 4 of 29. Gatkowski leads the way, and the safety car should be out for at least another lap, and then we'll be seeing who is going to be making moves early on the restart phase. And of course, Gatkowski will be controlling that pace, and you've got to think with Gatkowski and Urpek, of course, being on the same team, Graroach could be in a bit of trouble on the restart. As Nordic Ninja predicts a CPI 1-2, and we got Jav. Yeah, Lucas Ria got tangled and got spun by Thomas. Yeah, that's what it looked like from the angle I got. But obviously we have to wait and see what the stewards do say. Finley saying a lot of patience here, and Troy saying they are crazy. Well, I mean, elbows are out early on, as the drivers are really jockeying for to assert themselves early on this season. Of course, we don't really want to see incidents at all. Of course, sometimes they can't be held in the heat of the battle, but we definitely don't want to see incidents where we see drivers out of the race. Of course, Rafi and Samtex both out of the race. For Samtex, it seemed to have been a connection issue. For Rafi, though, he was in the wall, so I can only assume he's either had contact with someone or he's lit up the rear tyres on the exit of turn 3. Either way, not the best start for both EVE and of course for the Mercedes pairing of now I gotta remember off the top of my head because I ain't got the graphic on me. LR, there we go. We're testing my memory as well as the driver's skill out there. And that is for sure. Safety car is in this lap, and we'll be back to green flag racing from lap number 6 onwards. Gatkowski controls the pace. He is now the virtual Burt Melder, and he is going to back up the pack. And I'm going to keep an eye on Urpek for this one, because Gatkowski's going to control it, and then you got Urpek, of course, his teammate, so he will be able to work with his teammate to maybe try to get the jump on Gravroach early on. If Urpek can back up Gravroach, and in fact there we go, Gatkowski has gone, and it looks like Gravroach not really caught napping. As Urpek was a little bit off on his restart. I want to say he was still trying to warm up his tyres, but he has to hold position. Fortunately for him, he wasn't taken advantage of by the likes of Quartz in behind, as Thomas and Acid they battling out for P6 on the restart, as we have Lucas Knock. Oh my god, Knock there with a big lockup, runs deep through turn number 4 and a little bit too hot on the brakes there. Impact getting through on Zwade. Up at the front end of the grid, we've got Colby getting through on Quartz as well. Of course, that 3-second time penalty. Colby will probably be looking to try and get that removed. Of course, was kind of pushed off the track when he picked that one up. So we're going to see if that will be removed, and that is for sure. Gravroach back on the back of Gatkowski as we come up the hill through turn number 12. Middle sector split, and it's about 0.3 of a second between the pair of them. And you got to think, once DRS is activated, we're going to see these two trade positions all the way to the pit stop phases, and we're going to see who is going to come out on top. Of course, everyone on the set of the hard compound tyres. Some drivers looking to go to the end on their hards, and of course we're going to see how that strategy works out from the majority of the grid, though looking to make a pit stop at some point in this race, probably around lap 17, 18. I would imagine the switch onto the mediums, just so they can go all the way to the end and have a good life in them. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, these drivers much better at strategy than myself, so maybe there's going to be a bit of strategy variation there. So we will see what goes on. As we got Impact looking to get the move done on Lucas there through the S's, but Lucas gets a lovely little exit, but is blocked off there by Impact on the run down in towards turn number 8. Big lockup from Agonize up ahead, and that is not what Agonize wants, especially if he's trying to take these tyres all the way to the end of the race himself. Lap 7 of 29, going back to the front end of the field, because Gravroach is going to be lining up a move for the race lead against Gatkowski now, and we should be seeing the race lead change hands again in this race, as we are about to come on to lap number 8 of 29 here in the opening round of the Esports Masters League here in Console 1. As DRS is wide open, Gravroach is closing in, and I don't think he's going to go for the move. He's going to sit in behind. Meanwhile, in behind, Colby getting close to the back of Urpek, and this could really help Gravroach if Colby is able to get himself in between himself and Urpek. Then Gatkowski's rear gunner is a little bit hindered. So maybe that is what Gravroach and NLR are potentially hoping for here. The likes of Colby, maybe even Quartz and Acid, to cause a little bit of trouble for Urpek, and we'll see if they are going to be able to cause a bit of trouble in this race. Looks like Gatkowski though built a bit of a gap, and it looks like Gravroach has lost some time, not only to Gatkowski but also to Urpek, who's right underneath that rear wing, but just cannot get the traction out of turn 10 that he needs to challenge down into the 11. So Urpek's going to sit behind the NLR driver for another lap here as we come up the hill through 11 and 12. Gatkowski still leading the way ahead of Gravroach in second place. Urpek still there in third. Colby there in fourth, with Quartz in fifth, Acid in sixth, and then about a second back. And now we're going to see the split in the pack, because now Thomas is going to be under big pressure from Brent, because he's not going to have DRS on Acid up ahead, and that is going to be a heartbreak for him. Meanwhile, back to the front, as here comes a Gravroach to the inside, job done just as we entered the braking zone. Gravroach now into the lead of this race. Gakowski back down to second place, and Urbeck there in third. And you already see just how much time Thomas has lost down that start finish straight due to not having DRS on Acid, and Acid having DRS on his teammate up ahead of Quads. GT10 with a good showing thus far, 2 drivers inside the top 6, and it's going well. If you're CPI and GT10, you're looking at the first 10 laps and you're actually very happy with how the first 10 laps have gone, because you've got both of your drivers, obviously for CPI, both of your drivers on a podium position right now in the hunt for a 1-2 finish. And then for GT10, you got 2 drivers that are right there in that lead train in the top 6, and with Colby having a 3-second time penalty, you're basically looking at 2 drivers right there inside the top 5. If Colby can get his penalty removed, though, that will remain to be seen, and we will see if that does happen. But for GT10 and CPI, it's a good opening 10 laps for those 2 teams to begin this campaign of the Esports Masters League. As Gravroach now, I think it's going to be overtaken by both CPI drivers. There goes Gatkowski, there goes Urbeck, and there goes Colby. Gravroach going from first down to 4th in the span of the start-finish straight, and it is now a CPI 1-2 with Colby there in P3. So now Colby is in the middle of NLR and a podium right here, as Gravroach late on the brakes. I don't think that was on there for Gravroach. He wanted to get back through on Colby as quickly as possible, but maybe a little bit too eager to try and get through on Colby at that point. But yeah, Gravroach just a little bit too eager there, misjudged it definitely for sure. Colby though holds on to P3. Fortunately, neither of the drivers spinning around or suffering a major incident right there, as we got Quats and Acid still holding on to the back of that train. Brent is now ahead of Thomas out on track, so Brent up to P7, 2.8 seconds off the back of the top 6, as you got Pablo there all over the back of Keke. Keke inside the top 10 for NLR, so 2 drivers for NLR inside the top 10. They'll be happy with that early on. Same with Brent and Pablo for FGE. They'll be happy with 2 drivers inside the top 10. And we got a question asking if Agonize has wing damage. We will have a look in just a moment's time. I'm just going to go to the front just to see if Colby's going to be able to split the CPI drivers, and he backs out of it. Colby there had the opportunity to go down the inside of Gatkowski, but thinks better of it. Thomas gets back through on Brent, and we got the teammates side by side through turn number 1 of Pablo and Brent, and that's allowed Keke to have a little look around the outside, and he'll at the inside line for turn number 4 now, as Pablo on the inside of Thomas. Job done there, as Keke still on the inside of Brent, and Keke up into P9, and he might have a look at Thomas as well, but thinks better of it. Right, to answer the question, as was that Phil under attack there from Impact around the outside, as Impact there trying to make an impact as he sends one down the inside into towards turn number 10. This will be fantastic for Impact to make that stick, and he does make that stick. Impact there up in the P12, Phil down to P13. It is unlucky for some. Agonized, does he have wing damage? Visually, he does not have wing damage on his car, so Agonized, no wing damage there for him. Unfortunately, I think he might have just lost out on DRS, and he's just dropped further and back before. Well, he's just dropping further and further back because he does not have DRS. But back up to the front, Gakowski and Urbeck, CPI playing it smart, changing positions and not fighting or losing each other much time at all. Colby there in P3, Gravroach in P4, Quads and Acid, both the GT10 drivers, in 5th and 6th. And then of course we got Pablo for FGE in 7th place. OVR's Thomas there in 8th, looking to put the pressure on as he tries to get himself up into 7th. Down the inside goes Thomas. Job done for the OVR man. We got Keke there for Everlast Racing in 9th place, and of course we got Knock there on slightly fresher hard compound tyres. As Urpex left the session. Urpex left the session. Oh, heartbreak for Urpex. Heartbreak for the CPI man. I don't know if Rafi or Samtex is still in the lobby. If not, I'm going to quickly try and get him back in as quickly as possible. We will try to get Urpex in as quickly as possible. I'm gonna have to send out a friend request. Actually, I didn't send him a friend request. I followed him. Damn it. Right. Oh, Urpex has rejoined. Yes, Troy, I am on PS4. Heartbreak there for Urpex as he has managed to rejoin the lobby, so that's good. But what could have been a 1-2 there for CPI has just turned into an absolute nightmare, because Urpex, now he's back in this car, he finds himself nearly 3 seconds off the back of the top 5. Quartz has managed to get through on Cobby, so Quartz now up in the P3, Cobby down to P4, and Grafroach also managed to get through on Cobby as well, so Cobby losing out on 2 positions there, and Urpex has taken control of his car, and he's only just ahead of Pablo, and if Pablo deploys enough for his battery, he can maybe get onto the back of Urpex, and oh, Urpex retired from the... Has he just retired out on track? Or has he had the same issue that Samtex did earlier? Because Samtex did say that he had an issue where he didn't actually retire himself. The game just decided to retire him. So hopefully, hopefully Urpex, you know, was okay. But Finley saying probably couldn't take control. If that's the case, that is heartbreaking for Urpex, and I hope that's not the case. That shouldn't be the case, not at this stage in the game cycle. That is for sure, and it's a shame that we're still seeing this. But Quartz and Cobby locking onto each other, going deep through turn number 1, and that is, I think Quartz has just decided to let Cobby back through. I think Quartz there realising that he might have just been a little bit too hot on the brakes, ran a bit deep, took Cobby with him, and he's given him that position back. But it's not the greatest there. And oh my god, Thomas getting out of shape, but we're seeing side-by-side action up ahead between Pablo and Keke, as Pablo there able to hold on to P9, as the midfield is where the battle seems to be happening right now. The battle for P6, Knock, Impact. Oh, as Impact there, very late on the brakes, and I'm not sure what's going on right now. Impact there almost looked like he didn't even have any brakes at all. And oh, as Thomas there sends one on the inside, and look at that lovely little switch back there from Pablo. He might have 2 for 1, and Pablo is able to hold it on the outside, maybe. No, switch back though from Pablo on the exit, and he just does not get the traction that he needs, but he will be in the slipstream on the run down in towards the final corner, and we are going to see if Pablo is going to be able to get that done in towards turn number 1. Gatkowski back into the lead of the race. Grafroach and Acid now the only 3 cars in this train at the front, as Cobby and Quartz there, of course, locking onto each other, going deep for turn 1, losing so much time to the guys up ahead. And in the midfield, we're seeing battles left, right, and centre, and it's getting a little bit too much there in some of these corners. Oh, as Brent into the back of Thomas through turn 4, and I was just about to say it's getting a little bit too much, and that right there was a bit too much. Brent into the back of Thomas, and we're seeing Lucas there pretty much forced off track as well, and this is not a good showing at the moment. There's just so many mistakes that are going on right now from some of these drivers, and I don't know if it's potentially anything to do with obviously what's happened, like with Urpek unfortunately disconnecting and obviously rejoining and maybe unable to take control of his car, or with what happened with Samtex disconnecting early on in the race as well. But some of these guys are definitely braking later than what they need to, and a lot of incidents are happening because of that. I know a lot of these drivers are much better than what is being showcased right now, and I'm wondering if there is issues going on in the lobby. I hope not, but Kobe back up ahead of Quads. Keke there up into P6 as he looks to climb the order. Of course, he's 5.5 seconds off the back of Quads and Kobe here, but it's not ideal for Keke to be battling with the likes of Nock and everyone in this pack, as much as what we've been seeing over the past couple of laps. But what they need is to work together, and maybe they can get themselves into that fight with the likes of Quads and Kobe. That's what they need to do, is maybe just think about working together. Lap 16 of 29. Gakowski leads the way, Graf Roach in second, Acid in third. Kobe there in fourth with Quads in fifth. Nock in sixth, Keke in seventh, Pablo in eighth, Impact in ninth, and Phil in 10th, as I believe we just had was that someone leaving the lobby, or was that someone retiring? I didn't quite catch it at the bottom. We're going to look through to see if there is any ghosting going on. Doesn't appear to be ghosting. I think that is potentially one of the drivers who unfortunately already retired out of the session now. Bravos gets back through on Gatkowski, Acid closing in as well. Colby staying ahead of Quads for the time being. Keke back through, and there goes Pablo as well down the inside. Side by side action between Pablo and Keke, as looks like Pablo there touching the back of Keke, losing the car almost, and Pablo's going to settle down for P8 as Knock through back up into P6 as Pablo gets a little snap on the exit, almost colliding off the side pod there of Keke. Was fortunate there to be able to hold on to the car and not go into a spin off of that, but it seems that Pablo is sliding around quite a bit through these corners, which is not ideal, not only for his tyre life but also just in terms of the traction as well. It's going to be very difficult just sliding around left, right and centre to keep a hold of that traction and to just survive Bahrain. And we're seeing Impact there getting a little bit wayward as well on that inside curb. Not what you want to be doing, as it looks like Gravroach beginning to stretch his legs a little bit ahead of Gatkowski. Half a second, the gap. Quartz getting back through on Kobe. We're going to see Keke now opening DRS and going to be flying through against Knock here. Heading up into P6 goes Keke, as Pablo looks to not slide through turn 1 this time, and he does navigate it quite well. And here comes Knock back at Keke here, and these two are just trading positions left, right and centre. The gap is 6.2 seconds to Kobe up ahead, so we're going to be seeing, oh my god, agonised there. We're on the ragged edge of track limits with Thomas, and he might have a look down the inside into the hairpin. He is going to have a look down the inside, as it looked like Thomas there just outbraking himself slightly, going into the back of Phil, but Agonize taking full capitalization of that and going up into P11 as Agonize looks to get himself into the top 10 and into some good points paying positions here. course, we are getting to the pit stop phase right now, and we're going to be seeing who's going to be the first one to blink to dive into the pits. Gatkowski gets back through on Grav Roach. Acid follows him through as well, so Grav Roach now goes from first down to third in this race. As I believe, yep, that is Colby into the pits, the first one to make his pit stop, and look at that knock there. Literally passed on the left, passed on the right as Pablo and Keke go through either side of him, and up into P5 goes Pablo. For how much longer? Here comes Keke down the inside in towards turn number 4 with DRS. Is he going to have the grip on the exit? And it looks like, I'm glad Knock backed out of that then, because he could have got alongside and that would have been disastrous. 3 wide into the S's, and yeah, Knock going to have to settle down for P7 for the time being. Corby though out on the set of the soft compound tyres. Agonize trying to get through on Phil. They're locking tyres with each other on the entry into, oh my god, Phil getting very late on the brakes, trying to send it on the inside of Agonize, completely misjudging it, going straight in to impact, and Thomas has been able to capitalise on Agonize. They're just getting turned in on I believe Thomas just turned in a little bit too early on Agonize. Could have been a bit of desync as well, we can't rule that out, but it's getting very scrappy, and I do not envy the stewards after tonight's race, that is for sure. There's definitely going to be some questions being asked of these drivers in the stewarding office. That is 100% guaranteed. Pablo, 10-second time penalty, speeding into the pit lane, not ideal for Pablo. Lap 20 of 29. Agonize has retired and has left the session, not happy with what just happened. I'll tell you what, Brent went a couple of laps earlier onto a set of soft tyres, and he's got a pretty decent undercut on the likes of Pablo and Keke here. Of course, Pablo, his 10-second time penalty is going to drop him well down the order, and Keke having that 1 second gap to Thomas, and going to be having the undercut on the likes of Knock. Well, actually, Knock might not make the pit stop. He might be trying to go to the end of the race. So Knock potentially could be in the net race lead right now, as Turbo Tom's falling down the order. Of course, on the 18 lap, all the hard compound tyres, it is not ideal for him right now in the midst of all these fresh soft runners that are rapidly closing in on him. Acid into the pits, Gatkowski into the pits, Graf Roach into the pits, and now we're going to see how these guys that pit under the safety car, we're going to see if they are going to have enough life in those tyres and enough pace to keep a hold of a fantastic position at the end of this race. Impact gets through on Knock, up into P1 goes VMV Impact, and of course both VMV drivers trying this strategy, as Acid has come out ahead of Corby, but Corby getting himself ahead of Gatkowski and Gravroach here. So we have a very tasty battle, as it looks like Corby there losing the back end. I don't think there was contact there. I think he just locked up the rears and just lost the back end, but that's allowed Gatkowski straight through up into a net P. I'm going to say net P2, because I think these soft runners, they are going to catch these hard runners ahead, and we're going to see just how quickly they're going to be able to dispatch them. Of course, the soft tyres, they do wear out quite quickly, so we're going to see. We are going to see. They should be okay to get the end though, but they are going to drop off coming the final few laps, that is for sure, as Acid is closing in on Imwa. Gatkowski all over the back of Acid, Corby there in P7, Gravroach here in P8, and Quatch just outside that 1 second window, using battery to try and get within it, and he is just about within that 1 second window. So he's just about that, as Quatch just burned all of his battery and has lost out on DRS. He has. Quartz now with no ERS and no DRS, and it's going to be a long race now for Quartz, as he's just going to fall further and further behind unless these hard runners can cause problems for these guys up ahead. Corby and Acid side by side as Gatkowski gets through up into P5, goes to CPI man. And here we go down into turn 4. Corby on the inside of Acid. Remember, these two, of course, made a bit of contact early on in the race, which resulted in Corby getting his 3-second time penalty. Question of whether or not he'll be able to get that removed remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, now with those two battling, it's allowed Gatkowski to get that 1 second clear. And Grav Roach down the inside, and Corby losing the back end through turn 10. Locking up the rear tyres, losing that position, and Grav Roach now up into P7 as there goes Gatkowski down the inside of Imwa, trying to make these soft tyres work for him now, as he's going to look to try and get the job done on Zwade. He knows that he has to get this done ASAP, and he does get it done ASAP. Gatkowski now ahead of two of the hard compound runners, and now can go chasing after the top two for a race win here. And will it be a perfect start to the championship for Gatkowski? Obviously it's not going to be the perfect start for CPI due to the issues that Urpec had earlier on, but is it going to be a perfect start for at least a driver at CPI? So that's going to be the question, as Acid tries to outbrake down the inside of his way, as Grav Roach looks to try and capitalise as well. Grav Roach through up into P5, and that is, I can't lie, very quick succession that happened for Acid and Grav Roach, and they are within the 1 second window of Gatkowski. So Gatkowski, even though he absolutely was able to get the job done on both the hard compound tyres very quickly, he just wasn't able to pull the gap that he needs to, you know, make sure he can pull away from these guys. But Corby has been held up slightly by these hard runners, and he's on the teetering edge of DRS. He does not have it down this straight, and he's going to use battery to get within DRS range, and if he doesn't get it, he is going to be in a horrible position, because he's not going to be able to stick with the top three, and he'll want to stick with the top three. He wants a podium or a potential chance of a race win out of this race, but for right now he's over a second back. And the other unfortunate thing for Corby is the fact that Quartz is coming through as well. Remember, Quartz used his battery and he was in the middle of no man's land. He's trying to come back through as well, as he is trying to get himself into a good position at the end of this race. Acid overtaking Gatkowski going into turn 1. Grav Roach on the inside as well. Grav Roach, and he is going to have to settle back for P5, but gets a better run out of turn 3, but it's not going to put the pressure on just yet. Knock and Impact leading the way, lap 24 of 29. OVR, Knock, VMV, Impact first and second right now. GT10's Acid currently in third, closing in on fresh soft tyres. He's got Gatkowski and Grav Roach in for tow. About 1.5 seconds at the back of these guys is Corby there in 6th. He's got about a 2 second gap to Imwa, who's just been overtaken by Quartz. So Quartz now up into 7th place for GT10. And I tell you what, I think Quartz, I don't think he's going to catch Corby. I don't think he will. It's going to be about whether or not Corby's going to be able to get that 3 second time penalty removed. But at the front, the soft runners have caught up to Knock and Impact. And now we're going to see elbows out from both Knock and Impact, trying to hold on to a podium position. Quartz with a 3 second time penalty. That has equalised things, and that will be a sigh of relief right there for Corby, as Gatkowski down the inside of Acid. Grav Roach here looking to take advantage as well, but decides against it, and Gatkowski wants to be the first car to try and break through these two hard runners. Gatkowski, so much more grip on those soft tyres. A cleanly outbreaking impact going around the outside of turn number 8. Job done there for Gatkowski, as Acid's going to try to follow suit and try to get through, but he's going to sit behind through turn number 10 and try to look for the better exit out of 10, as Gatkowski now into the lead of this race, running down in towards turn number 11. As Acid gets that all wrong, tries to outbreak impact, gets it wrong, and contact there as Gravroach and Acid side by side now coming through turns 12. Gravroach here just going to back off, think about the position that he's in, and he's going to try to make sure that he can not only get himself past Acid here, and he will do, but try to get past Knock and stick with Gatkowski. That is important for Gravroach in this race. He has to get past Knock right here, right now. On the run down into the start, into turn number 1, he's not going to be close enough, but he needs to get past into turn number 4. And that is going to be what Gravroach is going to try and set up. Turn number 4. Gets a fantastic run through 1 and 2 and through 3. And there goes Gravroach down the inside. Job done. And now it is going to be about Gravroach trying to get onto the back of Gatkowski. And it's going to be a game of who has DRS on the last lap. Acid on the back of Knock here for the final podium position. Knock on 22 lap hold hard compound tyres. He's lost out on DRS now to Gravroach, as is looking like it's going to be Gatkowski versus Gravroach for the race win. Acid now up into P3, the final podium position, but he's lost a lot of time to the top 2, and this is going to be interesting now. Does Gatkowski try? Oh, never mind now, as Acid, 3-second time penalty for him, takes him out of the running for the race win. But what I was going to say was, does Gatkowski try to back Gravroach into Acid and try to play a few games that way, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. The game of DRS switcheroo is going to begin as we go on to lap 27 of 29. Gatkowski now down to P2, Gravroach up into the race lead as Corby there gets through on impact for P5 in this race, as he's trying to get himself potentially P4 and be within a shout, if he can get 3-second time penalty removed, be within a shout of the final podium position. That is what he's looking at right now. Meanwhile, the rest of the field, I mean, you got Keke there with a penalty as well down in P10. He's closing up to the back of Imwa and Zwade, and he's bringing along Pablo and Thomas and of course Phil and Brent for tow. So these guys get onto the back of Zwade and Imwa. That's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to climb any more positions. Of course, they do have time penalties to their names, so it's definitely going to be a tricky. And Gatkowski versus Gravroach, as we're going to have 2 more laps to decide this race. Neverlast Racing, CPI. CPI took the first point of the championship with the pole position point set by Gatkowski. It was Gravroach who was second in qualifying, missing out by just a few hundredths of a second. And now it is CPI's K Gatkowski closing in, not looking to go for the overtake, wants to make sure he has the ability of going for the move on the final lap. We are in for a very tasty last lap, that is for sure, because Gatkowski, he should be able to get the job done into turn 1. But is he going to have the job done on the run up into turn 4? Or the run in towards turn number 11? Or down the straight in towards turn number 14? That is going to be the question, as we're still seeing positions change in the midfield as Knock overtaken by Cobby there, and Cobby actually closing on to the back of Acid, so maybe Cobby potentially could We could be looking at trying to get that position on track instead of through the penalties, but we will see as Quads there in P7 on the back of Impact. But let's go back to the front, as it's going to be Grav Roach, Neverlast Racing, K Gakowski, CPI. Round number 1 of the Esports Masters League. The final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix about to get underway is Grav Roach leading the way ahead of Gakowski, as Gakowski is closing in with DRS. He's going to go to the outside as Grav Roach covers the inside, parks on the apex there, does Grav Roach, and now it's going to be about to run towards turn number 4, and here goes Gakowski on the ERS. Covering the inside is Grav Roach as they run down in towards turn number 4, as Gakowski tries to hold it all the way around the outside. They are wheel to wheel as they come through the middle sector. Side by side action between Grav Roach and Gakowski. Neverlast Racing versus CPI, and Grav Roach here off track, but still there on the inside through turn number 8, as Gakowski there, I think, squeezed Grav Roach out, and Grav Roach here returning the favour. And I think with that, I think Grav Roach might just be able to hold on here, as DRS will close Gakowski up. It's all going to be the run now out of turn 13, as Grav Roach here again onto the outside curbing. That is not ideal there for Grav Roach. He's on the inside line with Gakowski there coming through turn 13, and they're side by side on the run down to the final braking zone, the final 2 corners. Neverlast Racing, CPI, Grav Roach tries to outbrake him. Gakowski looks at the switchback. He's going to have the traction. Oh, we are spinning from Gakowski as they come to the line. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gakowski? Is it going to be Grav Roach? It's Grav Roach by 300ths of a second. Neverlast Racing takes the first race win of the season. Gakowski there in P2. Acid does take that final podium position. Acid for GT10 takes the final podium position. Knock with a fantastic result there. Of course, finishing P4 for OVR. Hobby there in P5. Potentially he could get himself onto the podium if he didn't pick up any more warnings, and he can show that he was forced off for that, because he did get a 3-second time penalty. It did look like he got forced off, so definitely one to keep an eye on, and we will see what will happen there. But my God, Grav Roach and Gakowski. Neverlast Racing, CPI, the 2 teams I had my eye on to be up there fighting at the front. Regardless, it's going to be a very, very tasty season-long battle between these 2 teams. That is for sure. First blood, the pole position goes to CPI, but the first win of the season goes to Neverlast Racing. Grav Roach here, top step of the podium, and we'll run you through the order one more time, hopefully. Maybe, or we just, okay, I believe we're gonna have this issue, unfortunately. So right, let's rewind the stream back just a little bit so I can actually see the checkered flags, because I believe what is going on by here is, unfortunately, the annoying thing about the game still. But it was Grav Roach there for Neverlast Racing who does take victory by 300ths of a second ahead of Acid there, who completes the podium. OVR Knock in P4 with Cobby there in P5. Quads for GT10 in P6. And I think with Quads and Acid's current positions, I think they lead the way in terms of the team's championships. Someone have to correct me on that one. But yeah, Quads and Acid, good showing there for GT10. Impact for VMV in 7th place. OVR Thomas in 8th. And then, of course, we have Zwade and Phil for IRT completing out the top 10. In 11th place, we have Brent EVE Lucas in 12th, Keke in 13th for Neverlast Racing, VMV Imwa in 14th, Pablo in 15th, and then we got Turbo Toms, the last of the runners, in 16th place. And of course our 4 non-finishers, of course, Agonize, Urpek, Rafi and Sam Tex. Heartbreak for those 4 drivers. Of course, DNF in different circumstances as well, each and one of them. Obviously, Sam Tex having connection issues, Urpek having connection issues. Rafi, I think, I'm not sure what happened with Rafi, but he was in the wall on the exit of turn 3 and then agonized, losing his head into the pit lane with tyres from the session. Maybe rear wing or some damage, irreparable damage for him. But guys, that wraps up round number 1 of the championship. Let's have a look at where we'll be going next. Of course, in a week's time, on the 29th of January, we'll be heading down under for the Australian Grand Prix. We head to Melbourne. It is Albert Park for round number 2. And if round number 1 is anything to go by, obviously, first thing, I think some drivers definitely need to calm down a little bit in terms of the aggression out on track. That is for sure. And I'm sure the stewards will be putting that warning out as well going into Australia. But yeah, Australia next week, and then of course we'll go to China after that, then to the home of British Motorsport for Silverstone, then to the jewel in the crown of the F1 calendar. It is Monaco, followed by the Hungaroring as we head to Hungary for round number 6, then the Circuit Jules Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix round number 7, the Las Vegas Strip for round number 8 in Vegas, Singapore in 9th, Mexico completing round number 10, and then of course we got the Circuit of the Americas round number 11, and of course Abu Dhabi completing the season on the 16th of April for round number 12. But of course that will happen over the course of the season. Next week though, we will be going to Australia, and we will be hopefully seeing some cooler heads prevail next week. That is for sure. But thank you guys for tuning in. I have been Michael Edwards, and I'll catch you next week for round number 2 of the Esports Masters League as we head to Australia. Until then, guys, again, massive thank you to our sponsors at Ronin Printworks 3D, and we will catch you next week for the Australian Grand Prix. Until then, guys, it is goodbye.